Hi, it's Sandy here, and it's time for the new moon eclipse rose reading. And yeah, I'm just going to see if anybody's going to be able to join me live this evening. And gosh, yes. Hi Evelyn. Hello, nice to see you. Yeah, this is coming to the closure of our 3 eclipse season. Hi Babita, hi. Good to see you. Yeah, this has been a rock and roll ride for so many of us. Just intense, and I mean, it's just a complex time, isn't it? You know, there's so many different factors that are at play here that are bringing that sort of sense of, well, for me, I mean, it's just like surrender to what's showing itself here, because, you know, I've got a sticky computer that's not functioning well, stuff that's not wanting to open. Hi, Carolyn. So it's just been, even to try and get anything done, it's been so stop-start and sticky, and yeah, and you think you've got a clear pathway forward, and then the sense of the energy on it disappears. So part of this is the fact that this eclipse is activating the nodal axis on the chart, which is that place from where we've been to where we're going, and it's influencing each one of us in our own unique way, because obviously it's impacting on our natal chart, on our natal geometry or matrix of energy and expression in the world. This particular eclipse for me is yeah, a bit of a humdinger, as they would say, and I knew that this one was cooking, so it's been a very interesting couple of weeks running up to it, watching what's arisen, you know, what's coming up in my experience of day-to-day life that is calling for my attention and is calling for a place of kindness, actually. Oh, hi Louise, hi. So yes, these are powerful times, and I think I've mentioned before that this eclipse cycle has had a direct connection to the eclipse cycle in 1999. And then if you take that back, the 19 years prior to that, it takes us back to 1982. So there's been a rhythm, a pulse wave that's gone through our experience. But if you look back to August of 1999, it will give you a flavour of what is part of the unfolding for you at this time. Hi Pam, hi, thanks for joining. So yeah, this offers us another level of insight. I mean, the astrology of this particular time is complex, and I'm by no means an astrologer. It's, you know, it's a lifetime's study. I'm just a baby at it, and I find it fascinating watching the different rhythms that set themselves up in a chart, and where the significant pieces are that offer us an amazing opportunity in our soul evolution to let go of a lot of the imprints and the patterns from our past. And this eclipse really feels to me to have a lot of power behind it, and a lot of opportunity for us to really bring closure to a lot of the issues that we've had running with us for some of us for you know, for most of our lifetimes. So those of us that are first wavers in particular are the ones that have been here with, you know, cutting down the jungle, so to speak, to carve a pathway that enables us to come to a place of this level of openness to this next frequency wave that wants to come in and be embodied. This is so much about embodiment practice, and I don't know whether any of you are like me. I spent a lot of time trying to get out of my body. My first connection into meditation in particular was in sort of 93, 94, 95. I spent 3 years at a philosophy school that taught Advaita and meditation. And the driver for me was to get out of my body because I've never really wanted to be in it. It's never felt a safe place for me to be. And so having survived this long, clearly being in body is absolutely what the path is. And I really understand now that actually this is our alchemical pot. This is the only place where transformation actually happens. So you could put me as a slow learner, I think, in actually, really being prepared to communicate and be present in the body to her whispered messages. And we know that if we don't listen to the whispered messages of our bodies, they actually end up having to shout really loudly for us to get the message. So anyway, that being said, I hope that you're all navigating this interesting, shall we say, wave of energy, and that it's being an illuminator for you, but also kind. The illumination that we're all experiencing into our patterns and our residual places of trauma or of wound that now need to be acknowledged, accepted and transmuted through that. I feel it makes us very hopeful for our ongoing journey. And I do feel that once we get through this eclipse and through the retrograde, the majority of the retrograde planets, which are really causing us to review, to really go back in and look at what our story has been, particularly in our experiences of this last year, in this current year, because everything has been building for us to do this shift. So, you know, this week we've been through the Lion's Gate, this portal of 8-8 energy, which opens us up to a more cosmic flow from Sirius, and again is a pulse point. You know, any of these energies are not going to affect everybody, but those that are in a frequency band that are aligned to that particular upshift that's being offered will indeed be affected by the energies to the degree that the soul evolution is calling forward. So some people are sailing through this period, and it's been grace and ease all the way through, and there has been a steady building of their momentum of business and of soul growth. And there are those of us all that have had to go through sort of breakdown, breakthrough, renewal, or contraction and expansion, contraction and expansion, to take us through into this phase. But I do feel that once we get through this, things will stabilise a little bit more for us, and then there'll be an integration period through to the end of the year that will take us into the new energies and the new frequencies of 219. So, what might the roses have as wisdom for us at this time? And I think it's an interesting reading, actually. So, are you drawn to rose card 1? Are you drawn to rose card 2? Or are you drawn to rose card 3? Now, if you were drawn to rose card 1, she is Rose Ma 10. Now, Rose Ma 10 is part of the last set of roses that call themselves Rose Ma, the mother of the rose, and they are qualities of the awakened and empowered heart field. This particular rose says, I am compassion. And I feel that this is really calling us to compassion for self, for starters, but also a real sense of kindness. Kindness for the journey, kindness for the experiences that our soul has called forward for us to catalyse transformation, to bring us sometimes to really uncomfortable places within ourselves that have actually been the most amazing way showers to move forward in our lives, or even into, relationships that have challenged us to such a degree that it has forced our soul evolution in that way. Everyone that we come into contact with has got a story. Everyone has got a journey that they've been on to bring them to this point. And this particular rose really calls us to have compassion for the human condition, compassion for our story, and compassion for the story of others. We do not know the journey that others have been on to get to this point. And so, in any circumstance, the first place is to be kind. So if you were drawn to rose card 1, she's calling you to look at all ways in which compassion can be at the forefront of your next piece of your journey. And I feel that particularly with the fact that with this eclipse, Mars is conjunct the south node of the moon, and that this particular eclipse is conjunct the north node of the moon. I feel that there is a Mars energy that's involved, that actually if we can come to that place of compassion first, we might not react but respond to a circumstance. So she's acting as a reminder to be compassionate to the story, compassionate to what's unfolding, and first and not last, to be compassionate to ourselves when we get revelations or insights of our own patterns and story which are not comfortable. I know for me in this last few weeks there have been ahas and revelations and insights that have certainly been less than comfortable to own and to integrate. So yeah, she's a powerful, powerful ally. And actually in the Rose Scarves is one of my favourites. She's a favourite. She's a travelling companion of mine. If you were drawn to Rose card 2, she is Rose 4. Now this rose is part of the original set of the 11 roses that came together in 2010 that started all of this work off for me. It's a powerful rose to be working with. And again, I'm not surprised that she's come up, particularly as Mars is involved in this whole dynamic of the astrology for this particular eclipse. She's a beauty. She's called the Chocolate Rose. That's actually the name of her, as the rose. And the story with this one is that she was in my cache of rose images going back to about 2007, so long before I actually got the impulse to from Lady Nada and the Sisterhood of the Rose in 210 to be working exclusively with the roses. She was already in my my photography stash, and it was an interesting little story. I'd gone to do a space clearing consult in Hertfordshire, and no, it wasn't Hertfordshire, it was in Buckinghamshire, sorry. And I'd taken my big camera, and I didn't really know why, but I'd stopped when I came to load the car up, and I'd gone back into the house and picked up my big camera before driving off to this consult. And part the way around the consult, the client said to me, "Would you like to photograph my rose?" And I went, "Wow, yeah, I've actually brought my camera," you know. And it had been raining, and hi Julia. And so I went outside to take a picture of this rose, and she said, "This is the first time it's bloomed." And she said it's called the chocolate rose. And it had a very sort of chocolatey aroma for a rose. And it was very like velvet. The leaves were like velvet. And actually this rose is quite innocuous really. She looks like she's a chocolate box rose. She's got this heart in the middle, and she looks very sort of luscious, but she sits on the liver. And when I'm working with her and working with clients, she's about getting into flow. She's about being able to let go of the things that are stuck, things and anything that has got a sense of anger or resentment. You know, in Chinese medicine, the liver is seen traditionally as the seat of anger. And this rose I've worked with several times in unblocking. She was one of the key pieces that I worked with in unblocking the frozen anger from my childhood, actually. So this rose is a wonderful rose to work with if you are releasing old memory imprints that have got any anger issues with them. And of course, the liver and anger are the gatekeeper of grief. So anger arises when we protect or we defend against a memory that has got grief connected to it. And I know for myself, when I was working with this aspect of frozen anger that had been bequeathed to me from my childhood experiences, that actually up behind it was a great deal of grief. And you know, here on her petals are the water droplets, and I really feel that that is part of her message to us in letting things flow. Don't hang on to things. That is not the time now. We have to clear the decks. We have to let go of the old. And that was particularly potent, I think, in the 8-8 gateway that we experienced earlier on this week. That it was really calling us to really let go. That actually this is the gift of the time. That in the letting go allows the higher codes of light to enter into the body and to really anchor them at a cellular level, so that we walk as walking masters of light, totally embodying the light. And this is our pathway. So this rose, rose 4, if you were drawn to rose card 2, is a wonderful ally. And as we've spoken of before, you know, if you've got any anger issues that or residual resentment, bitterness, anything that's connected to the solar plexus, the liver, gallbladder energies, you can set this rose on with a glass of water, and just invite the rose to fill the water with her frequency, so it becomes like an energetic essence, and to drink her to assist the process. And if you were drawn to Rose card 3, she is Rose 6. Now, Rose 6 doesn't often come up in the readings, and she's an absolute favourite. She's a really luscious rose. Again, part of that original set, and she works on the sacral chakra. So if you were drawn to Rose card 3, she's calling you to really fully embody all that you are, and really bring that into body, really bring that energy right down into that sacral chakra. Dance, move, get into your body, and really feel the presence of your energy, your unique energy, as it shows itself, as it reveals itself, as it dances its way through life now. She is, self-love, self-value, self-worth, and she sits on top of Rose 1, which is the root chakra. So this is the tribal piece, and this is what Jung would call the individuation. Who am I inside the tribe? And this place of embodiment, this place of fully being present to our story, to our journey, to the fact that we are a gifted presence here on the earth. We have now come as light bearers, way showers, and here to really speak and to embody all that we are in truth. So there we go. There's our three roses for this particular rose reading. So we have Rose Martin, I am compassion. We have Rose 4, to flow and to really let go. I mean, the liver is a major organ of detoxification in the body. Just to let the old patterns, the old stories, the old hurts, anything that can come up for us now, just let it go. It's time. And here to really embody the lusciousness, the true joy and lusciousness. Actually, I match today. I am being luscious. I match today, and this is she dance your joy. Be fully here and present, and embody you. So, as ever, these three can go together underneath a glass of water as a cellular reminder of the roses for this reading. What other news do I have? Yeah, I'm going to be at Botanica, the clinical aromatherapy conference in Brighton, which is the weekend of the 1st, 2nd and 3rd of August. And if anybody's local and you want to join me on the Rose Alchemy stand, that would be fabulous. Just one day, or Saturday and Sunday. And I'm speaking about the rose and the heart healing path of the rose. So there's a whole morning workshop on Monday the 3rd around the rose frequencies. I'm speaking at a flow event in the Crypt in St Martin's in the Field in London on the 27th of September. There'll be news on my website for that probably next week sometime. And I'm taking the roses to Guernsey for the first time at the beginning of October, and there will be new classes. I'm starting a whole new series of classes, and they will all be up in the website soon. And to finish our reading today, I've got the Alchemy bowl, I've got our 3 roses that came up in the reading in the bowl, and I just invite you to receive the violet gold aura energies. And I have my other alchemy bowl here, so you'll hear 2 tones that enable you to integrate through the sound. I'm being very, very drawn to sound now as part of the work. There's a real sense of a remembering of some Atlantean codes that I worked with in the Temples of Light in Atlantis, and working very much with the Crystal Kingdom with the roses. So there's some exciting things to come. Anyway, just enjoy the sounds. So, I hope you've enjoyed those beautiful tones. And yeah, until we speak again, with much love and rosy blessings.